In this video, we'll go through the advanced steps that you may need to take when setting up your new Receptive account. If you haven't watched the quick account setup video yet, you definitely want to pause this video and watch that first. After this video, there will be some process planning and then team and customer onboarding. As discussed in the quick setup video, you may have already invited in your teams or customers or both at this stage. Or you may be going through the whole advanced setup first. Either way is perfect because these steps can be done in any order at any time. Advanced account setup involves several steps, not all of which may apply to you depending on your plan. If you want any of the features that are discussed in this video, just get in touch with sales@receptive.io. First, we're going to cover team permissions and third-party integrations because those are the quick and easy steps that don't require much, if any, technical input. Then we'll jump into a few steps which may require your development team. If you have any questions along the way, just email support@receptive.io. First, we're going to cover team permissions, and all you need to do with permissions is just double check that everything's set up the way you want it. So go to the top right dropdown in your account and click Settings, and click Manage Team. Just to clarify the difference between your permissions and your team. So teams are actually pulled through to your reports, so that's going to be sales, customer success, etc., or groups within that you want to break out in your reports. Permission levels actually stop your team members from being able to perform certain actions in Receptive. So if we click on any of the permission groups, you can see the permissions within each of those groups here. You can't change the administrator settings, but for example, if you click on the customer success group here, then you can go ahead and add and remove the permissions available for that group, and then click Update. If you'd like to create a new permission group, you can go ahead and do that here. Just give them the permissions that you need to give them and click Add. In order to apply these to your team members, you can just go back to Settings, Manage Team, and when you invite your team in, you use those permission groups. Or to change the permission groups, you can just go ahead into the team name, click Edit, and change their permission group here, and click Save. And when you go back to Bill's profile, you'll see his permissions are now at engineering. Now we're going to walk through the integrations, and for each of these, I'm going to give you the basics of what you need to get it set up, and then I'll point you to the link below where you can actually walk through and follow all the steps. If you're not sure what each integration does, head over to our overview video where we go through each of the integrations and how they all work. We'll start out with the JIRA integration. And the JIRA integration is really straightforward. It should only take about 5 minutes to set up if you know which actions you'd like Receptive to take. You only need 2 things in order to get started with the setup. You just need admin access to JIRA, including the ability to add and configure add-ons, and you need your Receptive username and password. You just need to go to the Manage Add-on section, search for Receptive, and install the add-on. There are a few settings that you need to set up, so you just need to decide when Receptive will add a new item in JIRA, and when JIRA will mark the item as complete in Receptive. Next, we'll move on to the Zendesk integration. And in order to do this, all you need is admin access to Zendesk. So you need the ability to add and configure apps in your Zendesk account. And you also need your Zendesk domain. So all you need to do is go to the Receptive app page on Zendesk, install the app, and send us your Zendesk domain, and that's it. For more details, again, go to the link below that details the Zendesk setup. And finally, to set up the Salesforce integration, you'll need admin access again, so you need the ability to add and configure third-party apps, as well as a Receptive API key. Again, all the instructions are linked to below, but it's really straightforward. All you need to do is initiate the Receptive integration in Salesforce, put in your API key, and then authenticate Salesforce in Receptive. Configuration just involves adding Receptive fields to your contact layout in Salesforce, and adding account values to your accounts layout. Next up, we have auto tagging, and as you probably know by now, tags are an incredibly flexible way to segment your reports at a granular level. Auto tagging provides this insight into your reports without any manual tagging. If you have any account, user, product, or feature data held in your product, then you can have these items automatically tagged via our JavaScript integration. Here are just a few examples. If you have the countries, regions, or states of your customer accounts in your product, you can have these automatically tagged up and sent over to Receptive. This would allow you to segment your report data based on each customer account's country, region, or state. If you have the persona or job role of your users in your product, you can use auto tagging to send this data into Receptive and then segment your reports based on whether a customer is an admin or view-only access, for example. Auto tagging can also send over the product, module, or area of the product each customer request is raised from. So if they were in a certain product area, when they access Receptive and submitted a request, you can send that over. This can be huge for your product team to automatically know who should handle which requests. All of these segments will have very different demands on your product, and being able to analyze where your feature demand is coming from at this level can help guide your decisions and really find the best solutions. Since auto tagging is all done through the Receptive JavaScript integration, you'll just need to send the updates needed over to your development team. This information is also included in the standard integration instructions, so you may have already done part of this step, but once you start using Receptive more and using the reports and finding out what kind of data you need, you may need to tweak what information is sent over. The next step is email white label, and what this does is it changes the from address of all of your notifications that go out from Receptive to your customers and your team members. So a lot of our customers will choose something like feedback@theirdomain.com. You just need to set the email address up and send us a few items, which you'll find in the help doc linked below. The next step is white label domain, and similarly to email, you just need to decide on your URL and set it up and send us some information, and we finish the configuration on our side. The details are in the help doc linked below. Keep in mind that once your domain is white labeled, you won't be able to log in at receptive.io, so you'll want to let your teams know when you've started this process. Finally, we have SAML single sign-on for your team members. And what this does is it allows your teams to sign in one click without a username or password. There are a couple back and forth steps with our support team to get this one set up, so it takes a little bit longer, but once it's complete, you'll have a button on your login URL so your teams can log in one click. Again, they won't be able to log in at receptive.io once this is set up, so you'll need to let them know when you start this process and let them know what URL to log in at, and we'll provide that to you if it's not your white label domain. So that's it for the advanced account setup. Definitely take a look at the next steps, which are process planning and team and customer onboarding. That's where things get a little bit more fun, and you can think about how you're actually going to start using the feedback and how you're going to communicate that to your teams and your customers. So as always, send any questions to support@receptive.io.